Well, hey everybody, John Ritlin here, and this is hashtag Ask for Honesty, episode 6. I got a bunch of great questions to talk about here, so if you want to send a question, leave a comment below this very video. I will include it in next week's episode. Hit me up on Twitter in DM if you can, and send in some questions, wrestling, music, or movie related, or check the pin tweet on Tuesday night, Wednesday mornings that I put up. Use the hashtag Ask for Honesty. Make sure you comment below that, because otherwise I might miss your question in my mentions if you just send it like individually. So if I missed any of your questions, I do apologize. But let's just get right into it. And WWE NXT guy asked me something just before or just after episode 5 went up. And it's about the new abortion laws. If you don't want to hear me talk about this, don't shut off the video. I will wave my hand when I am done. So if you don't want to hear it, warning you, I'm talking about the new abortion laws. 3, 2, 1, go. They're fucking bullshit. Abortion should not be used as a form of birth control. Let me make that very clear. I am pro-choice. Women should be able to dictate to women, to themselves, what to do with their fucking bodies. Not by a bunch of dumb, old, stupid, motherfucking inbred religious dumb fucks that think that this is a way to save the unborn babies and to save this when they don't give a shit about any of the damn women that, have all these kids. They tell them to get jobs. They don't help them. They do nothing for these kids. And these kids are left in foster care systems if the kids can't, if the kids can't be taken care of by the parents because the parents don't want them or whatever. Every kid should have a right to, a way to get the best life possible, the best education and best everything. But if a kid doesn't even get a fighting chance because the parents didn't want him and they get thrown in the foster care system and forgotten, then what the fuck good is that? Again, abortion should not be used as a form of birth control, but for fuck's sake, you don't have to be pro-choice. You could be pro-life and know that this is bullshit. It's fucking bullshit. And you got a bunch of dumb, inbred, stupid motherfuckers that think it's a good idea, especially Alabama. And I got friends in Alabama that I know you guys aren't like this, but the people in charge, especially that dumb, old, crotchety, dried up, dried egg in the basket bitch. I don't even remember what her fucking name is. Woman that probably only got laid by family members because you looked at her. Who the fuck would want to sleep with that? You got that, and you got a bunch of dumb old white guys that probably had to pay to get sex, and the women probably had to be paid an exorbitant amount because they weren't any fucking good. They weren't worth the goddamn sperm that was used to create them. So yeah, I'm pretty fucking pissed off about this. So I'm not going to get too much more into it, except to say it's bullshit. Women should be able to do with their bodies what they want. If it's women working together with other women to say, hey, come up with forms, come up with like a way to, hey, talk about the issues and stuff like that, that's fine. But a bunch of stupid white guys, a bunch of stupid men should not be, and I speak as a guy, we should not be able to dictate to women what to do with their goddamn bodies. It's fucking bullshit. It's fucking goddamn bullshit. By the way, that's it. So thank you guys. If you guys did listen to the rant, if not, welcome back to the show. So anyway, Alfredo Reyes 24 asked me, and I forget the exact wording, but it's like, how would you go about starting a wrestling, or any advice on how to start a wrestling YouTube channel. And I will probably do a full video on this at some point. Find your passion. Find a way to not make the show drag. How do you want to do it? Do you want to do it audio, video? Do you want to use pictures? Whatever you want to do. Find a format that works for you. Find a way you want to cover. Do you want to do it weekly? Do you want to do it every other week? Whatever works for you. Hit me up in DM and you can ask me more about it, and I may even do a full-fledged video on it, but just find your passion. Don't let the show drag. There are some people I know that do long videos, and that is totally fine. That works for them. It doesn't work for me. My longest videos usually are about 37 minutes, also because that's the length of videos that can be on my phone, or about 38 minutes. The whole point of it is find what works for you. Find your passion. It took me a while. It took me over a year. It actually took me until about the time that I was able to start reviewing Raw live every single week, about like May or June. I think about June of 2016 before I really started to find my groove, even though I was having a whole lot of fun in reviews. And now, look at me now. I'm a crazy, insane wrestling fan, except I always was. So that's what I would do. Find your passion, find a format that works for you. Don't let the show drag, and go for it. If you want advice, if you want to have guests call in and stuff like that, I'll be your first guest. I'll be your first guest. You find something that works, and you talk to me about it, and I'll see what I can do. I'm not going to promise I can help you set it up, but that's the best I can do. And now we get to the rest of the questions. And thank you guys once again for sending in the great questions, and I have a massive headache after that rant. But anyway, here we go. Paulie A from YouTube. How different would wrestling be today if Vince owned WCW and Turner owned WWF? WCW would be around. WWF wouldn't. Vince was smart enough to have great people with him and just, worked harder than others. And I mean, I love Turner, but Turner would have not been able to keep up in wrestling. I mean, he kept up in wrestling for a while. He loved wrestling, but he did not have nearly the people with him to keep it running as hot as it should have. So WCW would still be around and WWF would still be around. I don't think it'd be any different. As much as I knock Vince, he was smarter with how he did things. He just was. And then we get Critical Sting on YouTube. I don't know if you meant to ask this as a question or have me answer it in the comments, but here you go. Here you go. I'm just so I hope you enjoy the answer. Am I the only one who finds it a bit hypocritical? The TNA used to get shit for signing WWE guys, but every WWE guy who reportedly wants out gets hundreds of go to AEW requests. Yeah, it's hypocritical. I think that if TNA was coming along now at the same time that AEW was, it'd be neck and neck and people would be happy about the alternatives. The problem is back when TNA started, it was so soon after WCW had ended. It was like just about 15, 16 months. So I think about 15 months since WCW had ended. And there was still a bad taste of, okay, they're just using, WCW guys or former WWF guys and stuff like that. And some of those pay-per-views were a bit rough from Impact. Actually, some of them were quite good. It was different. They were able to present a more Southern style and everything while having some New Age stuff like the X Division and all that. Is it hypocritical? Yes. I will 100% agree with you. It is. Hopefully, AEW can differentiate itself from WCW. What was TNA and now Impact Wrestling. I mean, well, especially back when it was TNA. And other companies and not use so many former WWE guys. The problem is WWE's influence is so far-reaching. It wasn't even the TNA used WWE guys, former WWE guys. It was how they used them, and they didn't use them to elevate enough of their original stars. That was always my criticism. I know that wasn't your question, but that was how I interpreted it. Yeah, it is hypocritical. I would 100% agree with you. I think that actually might be a possible, maybe unpopular wrestling opinion at some point, fan criticisms and stuff like that. But thank you for your question. Piper Valentine, who I love talking to. Nicole, you are awesome. I've enjoyed talking to you for years and years and years, and by God, if I could sit down face to face and talk to you, I would absolutely love to do that. Her question, Dolph Ziggler, why? Love it. I love it because it simply sums up everything. I don't know why. I don't know. Except Kevin Owens didn't want to go to Saudi Arabia, so they're like, hey, instead of fucking use Jinder Mahal, fucking use somebody. I mean, I didn't like Jinder being WWE champion, but for fuck's sake, just have him be there. Just put him in there against Kofi. Why the fuck not? It would get some kind of heat. You would have something. I mean, fuck, have Buddy Murphy face Kofi. Like, nobody would have believed Buddy Murphy would win, but for fuck's sake, I mean, use the talents that you have. Bringing back Dolph Ziggler doesn't fucking do anything. It's fucking ridiculous. No one cares about Dolph. It's pretty fucking stupid. I mean, it honestly is. There's just no damn point in Dolph being back. There just isn't. But I just love how she asked this question. Just, Nicole, thank you. I love talking to you. Love you for asking this. Really, thank you so goddamn much. Maybe one day we can sit down and talk face to face about wrestling. But thank you very much for that. The only answer I have is they got desperate and they had Ziggler come back because Owens didn't want to go to Saudi Arabia. BSG 103079 asking a few questions. With the disappointing finish of Money in the Bank, what are some of the finishes to a pay-per-view that made no sense to you? Starrcade 97, because it was overbooked mess. Goldberg and Nash at Starrcade 98. The Hell in a Cell no contest between Reigns and Braun. And I would say the end... the end of the 2015 Royal Rumble. Because you had Rock go out there and try to get Roman Reigns over and it didn't fucking work. And it just undercut Reigns even more by having that happen. Those would be a few. I will have to sit and think about this more as maybe a full-fledged rant. Or maybe a countdown, like the 10 worst pay-per-view finishes ever. Heroes of Wrestling would obviously be up there because it was just a mess of a show. But I would say those few. And I mentioned especially that Hell in a Cell no contest. But boy, that Brock winning the briefcase was, fucking rotten. It was just fucking terrible. His second question, how long do you think before the 24/7 title is gone? Shouldn't be around now. Probably by SummerSlam. SummerSlam, maybe by the Rumble. I cannot see this thing having any legs to it. I appreciate the talents for trying to dive into it and make the most of it. It's fucking stupid. It's a comedy title. It is the Benny Hill belt. Shout out to Kitsune Rokaku for basically saying this is what the 24/7 rule was, and she shared the Benny Hill theme. If it's not gone by SummerSlam or Hell in a Cell, or I think Hell in a Cell is a September pay-per-view, I will be shocked. Watch them have a 24/7 Hell in a Cell match where one person manages to escape with the belt and everything and they win. They'll do that. Fuck. They'll do that. I just cursed it. And his third question. From your retro stuff, what would have been your dream match from WCW? Pillman versus Hogan. I think Pillman would have troubled Hogan, frustrated him, but Pillman would have been a guy that would have been great to face. Or great to face him. Or Flair. Let's see. Flair pretty much faced everybody. I mean, Flair versus DDP without any shenanigans would have been pretty nice. But I'd say Pillman versus Hogan, actually. Because they were in the company for enough time. I mean, Pillman suffered a leg injury sometime, a knee injury or ankle injury or something in 94. I mean, he would suffer a worse one in 96. But he did come back in 95, so he was there for a number of months. It would have been nice to actually see Pillman and Hogan work a program. I don't know if they ever did on the house shows. I have no goddamn idea. But that's one match I would have liked to have seen. And his fourth question, why bring back Dolph? No one cares, and he's doing the same boring, I've been screwed, I've been here for ever promos that put me to sleep. Why does the WWE continue to bring back people no one likes instead of using the talented roster they have? Pretty much that's what I answered Nicole's question. I don't know. It's them getting desperate. They're like, hey, Dolph's a name. And Dolph's a good wrestler. Don't get me wrong. Dolph's a very good wrestler. I believe that he believes every word that he's saying. I just don't give a shit about Dolph. I just don't. I never have really given a shit about Dolph. And it sounds kind of like me being a bit of a jerk. And nothing against Dolph. But it's just, it is the same tired promo. It's the same tired BS, and no one fucking cares about it. No one does. I mean, just as sad as it is to say. This is also probably Ziggler's last hurrah. If he is around past Mania 36, I will be floored. Because he has been, pretty much since that Miz feud, that was about the last hurrah for Ziggler. I mean, even though him and Rollins had some good matches. Elias should have won the Intercontinental title, by the way, from Rollins, but they did not do that thing, and they pretty much cut off Elias's legs there. And then fully cut him off here with this feud with Roman. I don't really have an answer other than they got desperate because Owens didn't want to go Saudi Arabia. I mean, I don't think he told him last minute. He probably said he didn't want to go, and they were like, well, okay. We ended the program with Money in the Bank. Maybe they'll pick it up again for Stomping Grounds. I have no idea. Stomping Grounds is a stupid name, by the way. Despite the fact that there are three indie wrestling events taking place on the day of Stomping Grounds, Extreme Rules, and Hell in a Cell, I will be reviewing all those for the channel. And I will be reviewing them, well, not live, I will be reviewing them right after the pay-per-view's done. Because much as I love indie wrestling, you guys love the channel content, so I will be doing that. I'm just letting you guys know right here, I will be reviewing all that because you guys enjoy it. And also, I can't be in every place at once. As disappointed as I am that I can't be at the indie shows, it is what it is. That's really the only explanation I got for you, man, is that they got desperate. Jeremy8911, do you think Charlotte and Lacey should become a tag team and take the titles from the Iconics and hold them till SummerSlam where they lose them to Asuka and Kairi? Got a better idea for you. Don't mind your ideas since they really haven't done jack shit with the Iconics except have them lose. And I love the Iconics. I'm glad they won at Mania. I want them to hold the tag titles for a while and actually, be used instead of jobbing in tag teams all the tag team matches or 6-woman tags or 8-woman tags or whatever. Why introduce new titles if you're just going to have the champions lose? I mean, you had Bayley and Sasha doing what they did. That didn't end up working out all that well, mainly because afterwards, when the Iconics won, which I loved, they've just been losing ever since. I mean, granted, it's been non-title matches, but they've been losing ever since. And it's no good. This is what I would have happen. I would have the Iconics lose to Asuka and Kairi at SummerSlam. And think about this. They're happy. Asuka and Kairi are champions and everything. At Hell in a Cell, because Charlotte's still going to be kind of in the main event, and you still got this program going with Lacey and Becky for a bit. Or maybe you have a three-way match. You have Asuka and Kairi cover the Iconics. Lacey and Charlotte get frustrated. They say, we weren't pinned. We want a match at Hell in a Cell. Asuka and Kairi lose. Which, yes, transitions the titles a little too quickly, but then you get Asuka and Kairi having a rematch, even though automatic rematch clauses don't happen. It's like a dirty finish or something like that. And no, not that kind of dirty finish. And then you have heel Asuka after they lose their rematch. It's a win-win. You get the titles on, you give the Iconics a 4-month run to SummerSlam. You get Asuka and Kairi a little bit of a run. And you have Kairi be the one take the pin, by the way. And then you have Lacey and Charlotte hold the titles till the Rumble. Something like that. Or hold them till Mania. And you build up another heel force or a face force and something like that. You build up something like that. That's what I would have happen. I like your idea. And they may end up going that route. I would have the Iconics hold till SummerSlam, though, and then do everything that I just said there. But I like your idea. Adam, a freaky dude on Twitter. Which brand will Shayna debut on? Raw is the answer. And also, who will be her debut opponent? Natalya. I'm not trying to rush through your questions right there, but that's pretty much it. If she does not debut on Raw, I will be floored. Now, they could ever go to SmackDown, because actually SmackDown is a more sports-related thing. If they had that happen, her first program will be against probably... it would be against Bayley, I would say, but put her against somebody, like put her against Ember. Have her beat Ember. They had some decent matches. Well, their match in New Orleans was actually probably their best one. Have that happen and then build up to Shayna taking on Bayley and beating her for the title SummerSlam. And this is, of course, based on the fact that Shayna loses to Io Shirai at TakeOver 25, which I will be reviewing solo, by the way, for reasons that I will go into on the Raw review. Nothing bad, but just letting you know. So I think that's what's going to happen. So if she goes to Raw, it's going to be against Nat. It's going to be her debut program against Natty. If she goes to SmackDown, which I think is more likely since she's more sports-oriented, she's going to go to, she's going to feud with Ember and then feud with Bayley. And, I mean, they could have a feud with Mickey. I mean, fuck, Mickey ain't doing anything. And second question, what is your favorite video game genre? Role-playing games or side-scrolling beat-em-ups? And franchise. Role-playing, Suikoden. Suikoden 2, yes, maybe I will marry Suikoden 2, shut up. That's... Suikoden, even despite the fact 4 was a goddamn abysmal game. I mean, it tried, but the whole ship sailing thing was ridiculous. But Suikoden, just for the depth of it, 2 and 5 in particular are my favorite ones. If I had to rank them, I would say, 2, 5, 1, 3, and 4. Down through the floor, by the way, because 4 was fucking rotten. And it also had the worst ending boss ever. It was like this weird plant-like thing. It seemed like a normal boss, and then you're like, oh, that's it? Sorry, spoilers if you haven't played the game, but it's been out for a while. But yeah, Suikoden. That would be my favorite franchise, but side-scrolling beat-em-ups or role-playing games are my favorite genres. Black Man Robin 7. Who do you think should be the face of AEW? Hangman Page could be it eventually if they build him up. I think Sonny Kiss could be a good face. For the women, I would say Adam Hangman Page. Possibly Sonny Kiss. We'll see. Maybe Sammy Guevara because he's pretty good. For the women, Britt Baker or Nyla Rose. Seriously, I think both could work, honestly. Either or. I think they're going to have they're going to have a few people that are near the top of it. But Britt Baker or Nyla Rose for the women. Hangman Page or Sammy Guevara, but you can put Sonny Kiss in there too. If his work is as good as people say he is, it ain't gonna matter if he's gay or not. He will draw eyeballs to the screen. Just don't make it Cody or anything like that. They'll probably make it Jericho for a year. Knocked off Perch, and cool person to talk to. Regal or Goldust for the WWE title? Who deserves it more? Regal. Regal would have gotten it in 2008 had he not got busted for a wellness violation. But Goldust, don't get me wrong, I would love seeing Goldust as WWE champion, but I don't think the timing was right. Regal, the timing was right. It would have worked, and it's a shame. Now, I don't think he would have held the title for very long, but I think he would have been a tremendous short-term WWE champion. Because they had him win King of the Ring, they had him on such a roll, and they didn't do the thing, and it got fucking ridiculous. But yeah, so those are the end of those questions. Now I have 4 questions really shouldn't do that because it doesn't look good there. From Valena, WWE. And she's asking a few questions, and one of these I kind of already touched on, so don't forgive me if I kind of go through it a little bit quick. Do you think the 24/7 title is a good or bad idea? I personally think it's a comedy title to give the jobber something to do, but it will get stale really fast, probably within 2 months. The title is a terrible idea. Giving other people something to do isn't a wrong thing, but the answer is not more championships. They already are barely using the U.S. title that often. The Intercontinental title, Finn hasn't defended that in about a month, or at least not on TV. He's going to defend it against Andrade at Super Showdown. Yay! Vibrant, progressive country. I am going to be reviewing Super Showdown, by the way, against my better judgment, because I'm pretty certain people want to hear me rant about it, so I will be doing that, because I have to see just how much of a train wreck Goldberg versus Taker will be, because it's going to be a train wreck. And it didn't need to be happening in 2019. It barely needed to be happening in 2009, though that would have been a little better. The 24/7 title is a bad idea. It's just a goddamn bad idea. They're barely using the tag titles anymore. They had Bryan and Rowan lose on the, on the kickoff. I mean, they weren't, the Money in the Bank kickoff. They weren't defending the titles, but still, Hawkins and Ryder have not been on TV all that much since winning the titles. I mean, I think the Viking Raiders beat them. The Viking Raider experience, I think they might actually been the Viking experience when they beat them. And, God, all the memes for that, good God. Yeah, they haven't been featured on there all that much. It's just, you got the tag titles, the women's tag team champions are pretty much freaking jobbers, which is sad because I love the Iconics. And then you have Universal, WWE championships are trying to build them back up. They will go right back down in the toilet if Brock wins either one of them. And you can't tell me that it won't, because he's a fucking terrible champion. And he is. Just like Jinder was a terrible WWE champion. But NXT isn't even perfect with their titles, but they seem to be treating them a little better. The women's titles. The SmackDown women's title maybe can get a little bit better with Bayley holding it now. Becky winning the 2 belts didn't bother me, but it ended up being kind of a popcorn fart at the end. It wasn't going to work all that well. I think you should have just kept it on Charlotte, or kept it on Asuka, and maybe had, Asuka versus Charlotte at Money in the Bank, and then you could have had Bayley cash in on Charlotte. It would have given Asuka something to fucking do. Even though Mania was long, for fuck's sake. Ugh, just pissed me off. But yeah, the title's going to get very, very stale very, very quickly. And it's already stale to me. I will be shocked. Once again, I answered another question. I will be shocked if it's not gone within 2 months or 3 months. And number 2, do you think Vince wants his company to die since he decided to give the briefcase to Lesnar? I have a weird feeling that he does. It's like want his company to go to shit so he can fully focus on the XFL rather. Sad times. I've been saying for years that I think Vince wants to kill the company before he dies, and some of the booking decisions have made me question that. Lesnar winning the briefcase is grounds to get rid of the briefcase concept for the men. It just is. And I know the memes of him listening to the briefcase like a goddamn boombox. Tremendous. It doesn't do anything for the briefcase concept. It's fucking ridiculous. I think he does want his company to go to shit, honestly. I really think that whole promo that he cut where he brought back the NWO and brought it into WWE, I'm going to inject a lethal dose of poison into my company. Or I'm going to inject the WWF with a lethal dose of poison. I would say that he's been doing that slowly. And the eroding ratings and stuff like that. And I don't mean that they get back up to Attitude Era ratings. And by the way, great video that you did about how to fix the ratings in WWE. Really good stuff. 9 ways to fix the ratings, or however it was. Check out Evelyn to WWE. Click her YouTube link in there, and you'll see what I mean. Since I can't remember the exact title, but great video, by the way. But yeah, he does want the company to die, or at least suffer, because there's no reasonable explanation beyond pure stupidity that he would give the briefcase to Lesnar, because nobody even fucking knew apparently in the match until Lesnar showed up. They just heard somebody's going to knock Ali off the ladder, and nobody fucking knew what the fuck was going to happen. Ali should have won that damn thing. If he was going to be the winner, why the fuck not? And Ali's been on fire on Twitter. I mean, fuck what he said about Lesnar. Look at the bright side. Brock Lesnar climbing the ladder is the most wrestling he's done all year. That was great stuff. Yeah, he wants the company to go shit. I would be very, very surprised if he didn't. Yeah, they're making a bunch of money hand over fist with the Saudi deal and with the Fox TV deal. They got to get the ratings up for that, though. And the USA Network deal and other revenue streams that they have. But I don't think Vince really cares about it anymore. I don't think he does. Or if he does, he's got one of the most talented and biggest rosters he's ever had. He's not doing enough with it. Sure, Kofi's champion. Sure, Rollins is champion. Sure, Becky's still a champion. Sure, Bayley's champion. But the problem is they're champions at some of the worst times. It's just, it's like, okay, well, you want all this stuff, fine, but I'm going to give Lesnar the briefcase. Which just completely nullifies all that because it's going to make Kofi and Rollins' title reigns mean nothing. Because I guarantee you what's going to happen in Super Showdown. He's going to have a match with Rollins. He's going to beat Rollins for the title. And then he's going to come out and he's going to cash in on Kofi after Kofi beats Dolph. And then Brock's going to hold the both belts. And then you might as well take both belts and just freaking set them on fire right there. Maybe not in that country, but you get the point though. Those belts would just be absolutely ridiculous. And it would be. It'd be a freaking atrocity if Brock is ever champion again. He is not needed in the company. He's sure as fuck not needed as champion. If there are people that like Brock Lesnar that are watching this, that's totally fine. You can cheer for Brock Lesnar all you want. I'm fucking over the guy. And I'm not talking like heat, like I want to see him get his ass kicked. I just want to see the guy go away. I want to see, his bullfrog manager, Heyman, go away. And I know Heyman's just out there doing the same thing that he's always doing because he's told to. But I don't fucking care about Heyman at all. And her third question. With Cody being the creative honcho of AEW, do you think this is going to cause some conflict? Sorry, I wrote this really poorly. Some conflict of interest when he books his friends' matches, i.e. Page versus Pac, Part 2. Do you think this is a bad choice by making an active wrestler the main creative writer as well? I think it's a bad move by Khan. They need a non-active wrestler to fill this role. Someone that has no ties to anyone. I know you know your wrestling history. I know you do. I'm not being sarcastic about this. Look at what Dusty Rhodes did in Jim Crockett Promotions. He booked quite a few people the way he did, some of his friends and stuff like that. And he did have really hot business and everything, but he was also booking himself in some top angles. He was, NWA champion during that time. He was US champion during that time. He was TV champion during that time. I think he was TV champion during that time. I know he was US champion. Like father, like son. Now, I hope Cody has learned from his dad to not do that kind of stuff and to realize, I need to build this roster. I need to have this roster. And having the Bucks as focal points, having Hangman Page as a focal point, having Omega as a focal point, Cody wrestling isn't a bad thing to establish them, to establish the brand, to establish the roster. But if it's continuing after a year, then yes, it's going to be bad. Now, I'm not saying write Cody off of TV. I'm not saying write Omega off of TV. I'm not saying write the Bucks off of TV, even though they blocked me on Twitter. Great to see them at Defy Northwest Wrestling Show, though. Hangman Page, I think, is to be the biggest star because he's the youngest guy of the Elite. But, yeah, it could be something bad. And yes, he's got other friends in there. Sean Spears, former Ty Dillinger. It could be bad if he does just book his friends as these, unstoppable guys and puts them over everybody else and everything and just ends up frustrating everybody on the roster. Yes, it could end up being bad because it did end up kind of backfiring on Dusty because people got frustrated. But that's kind of what happens when an active wrestler is part of it. Now, should Tony Khan have somebody non-active be the booker, be the creative writer, sure, whatever, whatever label you want to call it, sure. But I would like to know who you think should be that person. Because I can't name too many people that would want to go do that. Cody, he sees Cody as a big star. I personally think that Cody is a big star. I don't think he's as big of a star as he thinks he is. But he is a very good wrestler. He has certainly improved in the ring. He has improved his persona, all that stuff and everything. He has really evolved since leaving WWE. It is a bad idea if he turns out to be like his dad and it takes a dip in business like it did with Jim Crockett Promotions. Yes, Dusty got it back in 88. And then the whole Turner sale happened later that year when stuff happened. Because of the Horsemen leaving and a whole bunch of stuff and everything. And Crockett Promotions was a bunch of money in the hole, $3 million or something like that. You learn that from Jim Cornette's podcast and just from interviews in general. Yes, it could backfire. I hope it doesn't here, but I totally get what you're saying. Should a non-active wrestler be the booker? Sure. This may be Cody's way of saying, hey, I'm going to wrestle here, but I'm also going to mainly book. Maybe he'll become more of a booker / wrestler. Maybe he doesn't want to wrestle forever. Because his dad did wrestle way past when he should have. So I agree totally with what you're saying. I 100% agree with you. I hope that it doesn't end up like his dad was in Jim Crockett Promotions. But it could end up being a backfire. But we'll have to wait and see. Once we get more shows under the belt, pay-per-views, and the deal on TNT, once we get more video, like visual representation of the product, then we'll know. For right now, I'm cautious, but I don't want to say that it's going to be that terrible. And then her fourth question. This is not knocking you. This is frustrating. This is how frustrating the question is. Thoughts on Vince forcing Ashley Mazzaro to keep quiet about her sexual assault when she was on a WWE overseas tour. It makes me wonder if shit like this still occurs. I don't remember if there was anything else you asked. For those who don't know, this has come out because there was an affidavit that came out about Ashley Mazzaro talking about how I'm not going to describe in detail what happened. Because I can't. I'm sick just thinking about it. The deal here is that Ashley Mazzaro was raped. At a military base. That essentially is what it is. Not getting into the details on this, but she was. It sounds like a horrible, horrible thing that happened. Now, I do want to throw out the one thing about Devil's Advocate. Is it entirely possible that every bit of this happened? Or that none of this stuff happened? I really think that something did happen. Is it possible that 100% of this isn't true? Sure. I gotta side with her, though. In 2006, and she was with the company still for a bit, and everything, and people were like, oh, well, maybe she was with the company, she should have just left the company or whatever. They might not let her leave the company, because it might have been afraid she talked. It's like the fucking mafia. It's fucking bullshit, by the way, that Vince did this. Told her to keep quiet because of WWE's relationship with the military. I love the military, honestly. I support the military. I know plenty of people that are military. But let me just say this. The fucker that did this and the person that perpetrated this, that caused this to happen, read the story. You'll find out you'll see what I mean. It's fucking bullshit, and those people should be brought up on charges. They won't be. I don't know what fucking happened to them. Fuck both of them, honestly. Because anybody is going to take advantage of somebody like that, whether a man take advantage of a man take advantage of a woman take advantage of a man, woman take advantage of a woman. In this case, a man, trying to, doing this to a woman, whether she was hurt, sick, whatever, it doesn't matter. Taking that from somebody, forcing yourself on somebody like that, is fucking bullshit. It's fucking ridiculous. I feel so bad for Ashley Mazzaro that any of that happened. And I'm pretty certain that a good portion of that did happen. It just seems too, it just seems too ridiculous to not be true. I mean, or it just seems too detailed not to be true. I believe that this kind of stuff happens. And do I believe that this kind of shit still occurs? Sure. I believe there's a lot of shit that's been covered up. And this isn't the first time Vince has covered anything up. He covered up Jimmy Snuka killing his girlfriend, everything, paying off the cops, allegedly. He, screwed over Wendy Richter with the title. I mean, I'm not equating that to what happened to Ashley Mazzaro, because Ashley should have been able to talk. She shouldn't have had to have kept quiet about that, and that probably ate up at her. And unfortunately, might have been a factor to her taking her life and committing suicide, which is terrible. It 100% terrible. However you felt about her in-ring career, still a human being that lost her life, and her daughter is left behind to live with that. And the people sending the fucking comments and everything, and I'm one to talk about dark comments and stuff like that, but sending the stuff that they said about Ashley Mazzaro, somebody said that she maybe faked her own death. Fuck you if you happen to be watching this, you idiot. Whether you're a troll or not, fuck you. And if you think that Ashley Mazzaro deserved what happened to her, fuck you also. And fuck you if you think that Vince McMahon didn't, was right to tell her to stop that. It's like, seriously. Oh, she was right. He was right to tell her to, not say anything about it because of her relationship with the military. Let me make it clear. This does not speak for everybody in the goddamn military. I am patriotic through and through. I love what the military does for this country. But, oh, no. That is not a representation of what the military fucking does. That is a freaking monster, and the person that helped them perpetrate that is a freaking monster at the same goddamn time. So, whether 100% of that is true, 10% of that is true, 5%, 95%, 50%, 60%, whatever. Something happened. She was told not to say anything. So yeah, Vince is somebody that will hopefully burn in hell for stuff like this and other things. So yeah, it's fucking ridiculous, and it's terrible that Ashley Mazzaro committed suicide. Do I believe that stuff like this still goes on? Probably. I wouldn't be goddamn surprised. CM Punk talked about stuff that happened while he was still with the company. I'm sure playing with AJ Lee talked about all the stuff that happened with her. Being told that she wasn't, hot or whatever. I forget the exact words. It was John Laurinaitis, so I don't like to commit anything to memory that dumb fuck said, because he's a piece of shit. So of course Vince McMahon would hire him. It frustrates me. I'm sorry if I maybe didn't get quite as angry as you expected, but it's frustrating. It's annoying. And just the fact that nobody was held accountable and she felt like the company didn't have her back, it's just sad. It is just 100% goddamn sad, and just once again terrible that she took her own life. But that aside, I gotta end this video. Yeah, fuck Vince McMahon. I mean, terrible person. I mean, of course he's still leading the biggest company, in the biggest wrestling company out there, known globally. People are still working for him that are bad people. There are a bunch of great people to work for him. It's just really sad what happened to Ashley Mazzaro, how much ever of it did or didn't happen. But anyway, I'm going to end this episode because I'm upset right now. Agree, disagree with what I said. Like, share, subscribe. Twitter handle in the description. I am John Ritlin. I will see you soon.